$1 million. Free to play. You just need to survive. It's the Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Pick one team to win each week. Get it right, move on. Get it wrong, you're out. The last fan standing take home a guaranteed $1 million cash prize. And for every player who joins, we add $1 to the pot, up to $10 million. The Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Play free on the Fanatics app. App access open to all. Must be 21 plus and joined by 9/8 to play. No purchase necessary. U.S. only. Void where prohibited. Subject to complete terms. See fanatics.com/game rules.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Roger Stone Show. Joining me now is Joel Gilbert. Joel Gilbert is an accomplished documentary film producer, also an investigative journalist, writing extensively at the Gateway Pundit. Joel Gilbert has worked closely with Sam Antar. They're kind of the Batman and Robin when it comes to exposing the epic mortgage fraud of New York Attorney General Letitia James. In the case of Letitia James, it's not an example of one act of mortgage fraud or two. She actually has a 43-year history, a one-woman crime spree, if you will, of mortgage fraud. Between Joel's stories at gatewaypundit.com and Sam Antar's incredible investigative journalism at whitecollarfraud.com, where both of them post links to the actual documents they're talking about, which is why she and her lawyer, Abby Lowell, can be dismissed when they claim that none of these claims are true. Everybody can see they're true by going to these terrific articles, but Joel has broken a huge story. It's not bad enough that Letitia James misled mortgage regulators and mortgage companies about the home she owes in Virginia. See, she signed a power of attorney in multiple places where she claimed that her home in Virginia would be her principal primary legal residence. She said that in order to get a lower mortgage rate and also a lower insurance rate. The problem with that, of course, is if it were true, under the New York State Constitution, she would be ineligible to be the New York Attorney General. As Joel Gilbert will tell us in a moment, this was just the most recent incidence of mortgage fraud. But now we have learned that not only did she misrepresent herself and the facts in obtaining that mortgage, but at the moment, her fugitive daughter, who is wanted on a warrant, is hiding out at this location. Joel, tell us about your story.
Well, it's a whole new chapter in Letitia James' criminality, because we've gone beyond financial misconduct to direct violations of state and federal law. Harboring a fugitive is not a family favor, it's a crime. Just like mortgage fraud is not a clerical error, it's a crime against banks and taxpayers. So now it appears that Letitia James declared her Virginia home to be her primary residence. It looks like she did that to prevent the authorities in North Carolina from realizing that it would be a safe house for her niece's daughter, who was a fugitive from justice in North Carolina and would be living there. It's a safe house. Now, her niece's daughter is named Nakia Monique Thompson, and she's very close to Letitia. On her LinkedIn page, she says, "I've been working for Miss James for years, from city council to public advocate to attorney general." So she's very familiar with Letitia. She's very close to her. She even worked on her campaign for attorney general. So it turns out, I find out that Nakia Monique Thompson has absconded from probation in North Carolina, and Letitia herself said she's living at this house in Norfolk. Now, Nakia Thompson has a criminal record for 20 years. It includes convictions for delinquency of a minor, abuse of children, third-degree larceny, battery, shoplifting, resisting arrest, driving without a suspended license, with a suspended license, malicious conduct while in prison. So her persistent criminal activity just underscores how serious it is that Letitia James is providing a hideout while she's on the run from North Carolina authorities. So this is a new chapter that I think Ed Martin has to investigate, the special prosecutor, and I think a lot of us are kind of getting impatient and wanting to see him file some charges already. But Letitia has crossed over into harboring a fugitive, and there are serious penalties for this. Under Virginia law, If you harbor a fugitive, you're called an accessory after the fact. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor, punishment up to a year in prison. It's also aiding and abetting interstate flight because her niece's daughter is absconding out of North Carolina, and Letitia is providing a safe house. She said it repeatedly. Letitia said, I bought this home to provide a home for my niece's children. So I think it's another chapter in Letitia's crime spree when it has to do with real estate. And I put it on Gateway Pundit, and Donald Trump was kind enough to post it as well. So I think the story's gaining momentum.
This comes, unfortunately, on the heels of some incredible news. The Standard Chartered Bank of New York, which had previously been accused of violating sanctions against Iran and Communist China, was under scrutiny again because whistleblowers came forward with over 40,000 pages of email documentation that indicate that the New York-based bank was violating sanctions again to the tune of $9.6 billion in payments to entities in Iran, $100 million totally, including payments to China. Some of that money used by the Chinese to buy Iranian oil. Now, Letitia James' office was well aware of this. They were informed on 3 separate occasions, but this was a whistleblower case. I was hopeful that the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York would take up this case because it is a serious one. Unfortunately, the case was allowed to expire, although it is my understanding that the whistleblowers will take continuing legal action. This is a serious matter. This money, which Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, knew all about, ended up in the hands of Hamas and Hezbollah. But then perhaps Letitia believes, as she said so many times, no one is above the law. No one perhaps except for her. Her defense in this mortgage fraud crime spree is laughable. Oh, they were clerical errors? Well, they have to be 43 years of clerical errors. Right. You, Joel, and your colleague, Sam Antar, actually visited the property where she applied for and got a HAMP loan, which is a mortgage specifically for investment properties that were under 4 units. What was the problem in this particular transaction?
Well, this was when I first came out with this in March in Gateway Pundit. I researched it. It's all online. New York is an open record state, so it's amazing that anybody could have gotten the same information. And I linked it up in this article, and I showed you that Letitia James has a 4-story apartment building. It's 4 stories. It has 5 apartment units in it, and it's according to the certificate of occupancy. That's the only legal designation that defines how many units you have. And Letitia consistently for years, and including in this government HAMP loan, she was trying to reduce her mortgage from her adjustable rate of 10% a year on the back of the American taxpayer to only 2.7% a year. And in her HAMP loan application to the federal government, she claimed she had a financial hardship, which was part of the process to be qualified, even though she was making $14,000 a month, which was a big lie. And then she claimed her building only had 4 units, even though it clearly has 5, according to the official designation. I visited the building with Sam Antar, and in fact, we counted 5 mailboxes and 5 doorbells. The ground floor unit, we actually measured, because the ground floor, if your ground floor unit is 50% below ground, or more than 50%, 51% below ground, it counts as a basement or a cellar, so it doesn't count as a unit. And we measured it with a tape measure, and it was 82% above ground, so you can't even argue that. It's a 4-story building with 5 units. So Letitia got this loan on the back of the American taxpayer, and it's a cut-and-dry case of mortgage fraud. You saw that Lisa Cook has been put up for similar mortgage fraud charges. I want and expect Letitia James to be charged. I'm getting a lot of people on the comment section in my articles. They'll say, nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to happen. We're worried that it'll be the typical thing where they say, well, a New York or a Washington, D.C. jury won't convict, so why bother charging them? What do you think, Roger? Do you think that they're going to go through with the prosecution or not?
Well, I think one of the key questions, of course, is where this case gets tried. If it were, for example, tried in the Southern District of New York, I can just tell you, the facts don't matter, the rules doesn't matter, the law doesn't matter, the Constitution doesn't matter. None of these things matter. You'll get a judge like we saw in the Trump cases. You'll get a jury made up of all hardcore Trump-hating leftists. They won't hold Letitia James responsible. But I think that this could be looked at from a different point of view. I think the mortgage companies were defrauded. Where are the mortgage frauds located? I believe she could be charged where the mortgage company is located. Perhaps then she could actually get a fair trial and a fair-minded judge. If she gets a fair trial and a fair-minded judge, she'll be convicted because the documents speak for themselves. Nobody is more brazen, however, than Adam Schiff, the greatest single congenital liar, huckster, and con man in the history of the U.S. Congress. And when you're serving with Jamie Raskin and Dan Goldman, that's a very high bar. But this guy on NBC last weekend, if you saw this, Joel, saying none of it's true, none of it's true. It's all true. Every bit of it's true. These are public records that anyone can go look at. He said that his condominium in Burbank, which could not possibly accommodate a family of four, is his principal legal residence. He got a state tax break, he got a lower mortgage rate, he got a lower insurance rate. Then he said his home in Potomac, Maryland, which he's refinanced, I believe, 4 times, was his principal primary legal residence. Once again, getting a state tax deduction, getting a superior mortgage rate, getting a lower insurance rate. He's busted. So what does he do? He looks right into the camera and he lies. No, none of it's true. This bug-eyed freak has justice coming his way. You can always tell when Adam Schiff is lying. You know how? His lips are moving. All right, we'll be right back with Joel Gilbert, investigative journalist, writing in this case for the Gateway Pundit, but also documentary filmmaker extraordinaire. Joel, when we come back, I want to talk to you about your amazing new documentary featuring Roseanne Barr. I've finally had a chance to watch it. It is really, truly incredible. What a great honor it must be to work with a superstar like that. Not only a patriot, not a woman of enormous courage, but also one of the finest women I've ever had the opportunity to know. We'll be right back with Joel Gilbert right here on The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Audio Networks. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial because, folks, we'll be right back.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Roger Stone Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We're back on the Roger Stone Show with Joel Gilbert. Joel has broken an incredible story. Letitia James, the chief law enforcement officer of the state of New York, is actively harboring a fugitive in violation of federal law. Because this particular case involves interstate flight, Attorney General James should be charged under a federal harboring law and could face up to 5 years in prison. You see, no one is above the law. I hope federal officials will take this case as seriously as it is. It is a testimony, Joel, to your terrific investigative journalistic skills, and I'm glad that you chose to break this story today on the Roger Stone Show. You have a new documentary that you made with Roseanne Barr, Roseanne Barr's America, I believe it is. In the little time we have left here, tell us a little bit about the documentary and what it was like to work with this legend.
Sure. Well, Roseanne Barr is a great American legend and comedian, iconic figure. She rose to fame in the 90s and had the #1 comedy in America. She was very authentic. That's why everyone gravitated toward her and her show, and people just loved her. And you might remember some years later, in 2018, the show came back, and again it went to #1, the same show, Roseanne Show. And Roseanne played a Trump supporter on the show, and she was a Trump supporter in real life as well. And her idea was they had a Trump supporter and a Hillary supporter living under the same roof, and they didn't agree, but they still loved each other. And everybody watched this show. They loved it, 28 million viewers. And she put out a tweet that was very funny. She talked about how the Muslim Brotherhood and the Planet of the Apes movie, if they had a baby, it would be Valerie Jarrett, because Valerie Jarrett was from Iran. Everyone knew she was born in Iran, and she looked Iranian. So it's kind of a funny tweet about the Planet of the Apes movie meant about taking over the world. And the left was looking to target Donald Trump during those years as racist and all his supporters as racist. So they jumped on this tweet that was up for about an hour, and they said, Roseanne was being racist because Roseanne didn't know that Valerie Jarrett was about 10% black. That was the whole logic. But Hollywood canceled her show. They canceled her out of Hollywood. So I wanted to tell Roseanne's whole story, from her life story, how she got into comedy, how she became so successful, how she came back to the comedy business, and how they tried to cancel her because of this ridiculous idea that her tweet was racist when she thought Valerie Jarrett was from Iran, which she was. So Roseanne has all the charisma on camera. She's still hilarious. And the movie is out now, actually, on YouTube Movies, Vimeo, Apple TV, Amazon Prime. Everywhere you have video on demand, you can watch the movie. And it's 90 minutes. It's very funny, and you learn so much about Roseanne. You just fall in love with her all over again.
So if folks want to see this, tell us one more time where they can go, the name and where they can go.
Yeah, go to RoseanneIsAmerica.com. Easy to remember, RoseanneIsAmerica.com. Watch the movie trailer, and that'll link you up where you can watch the movie online and live stream it.
All right, terrific. I want to thank our guest, Joel Gilbert, for breaking this incredible news with us today about the continued illegal activities of New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Thanks for listening to The Roger Stone Show. You can hear The Roger Stone Show Sunday afternoons at 3. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?